Hi, this is Talking with David 2024, and 2024 is coming up to a bad anniversary for me. I'll leave the link down below, but if you Google my name, you'll find history about me. It's my real name, and the channel name, and my real name has history attached, some good and some bad. And the article, I don't think the article mentions that I tried to kill myself. But I think I can sort of some of my feelings in a sort of quote I have here. It's, I don't hate the world. I hate the way the world is, because deep down everybody knows that the world could be so much better. And I give you three examples, or three alternate histories. Number one, if Martin Luther King Jr. had not been assassinated, he would have gone on to tackle all sorts of poverty within the US and probably further afield, and he would have really brought some sort of galvanizing socialism to the US. I'm sure there must be some sort of alternative history fiction written about if Martin Luther King had lived to an old age. And if there's not, there really needs to be a book like that. Second example, once again, I'm with the US. If Al Gore had been elected instead of George W. Bush, who knows how much better the world would really be if that would have been the situation. We certainly would have done so much more to combat climate change. And the third example, here in Scotland, if the independence referendum had a yes majority, because before the referendum, in the start of 2014, maybe 2013, there was all sorts of grassroots movements, and these were just ordinary people who were just wanting things and really thinking quite deeply about society and about the kind of society that they wanted and could envision. So those are three examples of how things could be different, but there's so many other ways, some small, some big. I've got an example of around the time of the independence, I think this may have been 2013. There's Imagination, edited by Brian Beattie and Jerry Hassan. and it's all sorts of different types of works by Scottish talent, poets, writers, artists, all sorts. And they were just, free thinking about a imagination, a nation that they imagine what Scotland could be and all that Scotland could be. I'll just read the blurb on the back. From improbable new religions in Angus to narcotic cyber dreamscapes, from scavenging under Lochaber ski lifts to a conversation with St Andrew, from genetic apartheid to electricity generated by tourists, and an experience at the Hotel Caledonia you'll never forget. By turns outrageous, funny, sentimental, unbelievable, moving, this new anthology is provocative, reflective, and imbued with a sense of the country of its birth, moving effortlessly from caricature to candour. The imagination of new and established Scottish writers is given free rein in its collection of original work from some of the country's finest writers of short story, comic book, poetry and drama, including Alan Warner, Ron Frame, Alan Macy, Raman Mandir, David Grieg, Bill Duncan, Cynthia Rogerson, Tom Powell, Kirsty Logan, Rona Munro and 22 others. So it's a lot packed into this rather thin book. It's got all sorts of poetry. There's one play as well. There's very short stories. All sorts of imagining this Scotland of the imagination. And there's even a comic book as well. And another book in a similar vein. I think I've talked about this book on this channel before. Imagine a Country, edited by Val McDermid and Joe Sharp. And it's very much the same thing, although it's more maybe non-fiction, but it's all these Scottish writers, Scottish talent, artists, and so forth, musicians, and they're all sort of imagining this country as they would like to see it and as they think it could be. And this was published in 2020, so I think it was sort of held up a bit by the pandemic. I mean, in 2014, I just thought things were bad then. I couldn't predict 2016, Trump, Brexit. I couldn't predict 2020, pandemic. Although science fiction has projected some sort of pandemics or sort of situations like that. But there's one I liked. It was quite a short sort of thing. Evelyn Glennie, who's a musician, incredible woman. I really like that. My perfect country will have millions of trees, clean seas, and billions of bees. It's hard to choose a favourite. There's so many great works in this thing, but I do really like that. There's also music. I don't read music. I'm sure it's very nice. So to end this video on a positive note, I've had this book for quite a while. What are you optimistic about? Today's Leading Thinkers Lighten Up, edited by John Brockman, who is maybe still the editor of Edge magazine. Maybe still there, maybe not, I'm not sure. But again, it's sort of similar to the other books. It's these little quite short nuggets of various thinkers telling us what they are optimistic about. The two biggest names probably are Steven Pinker and Richard Dawkins. I was trying to find this particular page, which is sort of somebody just describing their day with a lot of says in science and projects and like improving my mind. And there was something very utopian about it, but I can't find that specific passage. So I'll read one other one, which is quite good. Optimism Has a Bright Future by Tor Nørtranders. Yeah. Norwegian name, I've never been sure how to pronounce that. Oh, Nørtranders. I am optimistic about optimism. It has a bright future. Not long ago, a few decades back, it became fashionable to be pessimistic. Gloomy predictions were sexy and sure signs of a progressive mind. Any true intellectual was sceptical about the survival of humanity. There were good reasons for that. In the early 1980s, we seemed to be a little stuck. A major nuclear exchange between superpowers was a very real threat. The environmental crisis was scarcely recognized by the public, and much less by the politicians. And the world population seemed as though it would grow exponentially forever. But the mood changed, a nuclear disarmament spiral started. Most populations in industrialized countries became aware of the environment and demanded political action. The growth of the world population started to slow down. The internet and the web seemed to offer means of change and democratization. During the 1990s, optimism boomed. Boom! But then came the dot-com crash and 9/11. The liberating force of the internet was still there, even if hopeful and greedy investors didn't make money on it. As we now know, it was released by the open source movement, and phenomena like Web 2.0, despite terrorism, the safety situation has not really changed in any quantitative sense. Also, climate researchers now agree that the global warming is actually here. The explanation is our own stupid and wasteful use of fossilized deposits of energy. This in a world full of an energy flow from the sun that is much, much larger than we need. So is it time to be pessimistic again? No way. The environmental problems are much too serious to be left to the pessimists. We need to make a change and do it right away. But we know what to do. We need a suite of high-tech solutions that will enable us to plug into the good old resource base of humanity. Solar energy, recycled materials, and a decentralized peer-to-peer network to enable information flow. We are about to make a very old niche in nature habitable for a huge human population through the use of high-tech solutions from the info, nano, and bio toolboxes. We must awaken the enlightening spirit of reinventing everything, the future included. We have to rethink the civilization we have developed since the introduction of agriculture. In the last great climate crisis, at the end of the last ice age, we have to create civilization 2.0, and we have to do it now. Fortunately, we have already started creating the technology and the dreams. Human beings have a talent for crisis management. Without optimism, we would not be here. The rational evidence for giving up is always there, but we have survived thanks to the faith and the strength to go on despite all warnings. Optimism always wins until nobody is around to know that it did not optimize. Optimism. So it's not quite the passage that I wanted to read, but it's still, a good positive sort of ending to this video. And as for myself, I'm still around, and I have wasted things. I've wasted opportunities, and I've wasted time. But I'm still around, and I think 2024 is going to be a very good year. We have Worldcon in Glasgow, a celebration of science fiction, and it looks like the camera's just broken. So on that note, I will say optimism, and thanks for watching. Bye.